After this season, Victor Wembanyama is about to be part of a super team that will soon take over the NBA. The players that will be available to them in this year's draft might be the start of yet another dynasty in San Antonio. I know, everyone is saying that this draft class is weak and shouldn't be hyped up at all. But trust me when I say this draft class will go down as one of the most underrated classes in recent memory. Not just due to the players, but due to the amount of disrespect it's getting right now. We've been spoiled with so many great and generational players that whenever we don't have a projected generational guy, like a Victor Wembanyama, Zion Williamson, or LeBron James, everyone calls the class weak. But the thing is, while this class might not have a player that will be as great as Wemby as a rookie, that doesn't mean there aren't guys in this class that don't have all-star or even superstar level ceilings. And I don't see how this is so hard to believe. Can you honestly say with a straight face that you knew that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Devin Booker, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis were going to be superstars in the NBA coming into the draft? No, you can't. If that was the case, then they all would have been drafted first or second. Anyways, the San Antonio Spurs have been terrible this season, as expected. However, they have tons of bright spots, so it's nothing to worry about, unlike the Pistons, whose lights are pretty dim right now. The brightest young talent in the NBA as a whole is, of course, Victor Wembanyama. He is 10 times better than advertised. Averaging 20 and 10 while leading the NBA in the steals plus block stat is just unheard of in this era, maybe any era. And side note, I think it's time that we finally retire the whole "this player is too skinny and will get bullied in the NBA" narrative for top prospects. Chet Holmgren and Evan Mobley were some of the latest victims of this narrative, and they responded by being some of the greatest rookie rim protectors ever, especially Evan Mobley. And now that I think about it, people said the same thing about Kristaps Porzingis, and although he isn't a superstar, he's still an all-star level center who is just as unique as Victor Wembanyama in a few ways. When Victor was drafted, everyone, and I mean everyone, was saying things like Giannis and Joel Embiid are going to bully him. And well, nobody has bullied Victor at all. In fact, it's the other way around. He's not only one of the best defenders in the NBA already, but at this rate, he's going to be a top 10 or top 5 defensive rookie ever. So yeah, not one player in the NBA has bullied him. In fact, he's bullying the NBA. I hear many analysts questioning what attribute of his is the best, and it's definitely defense. The fact that he's this dominant defensively as a 20-year-old is so scary. And honestly, if I was the opponent, I'd retire early. This kid is literally like 5 or 6 years away from his prime, and he's out here making the NBA look like a playground. I've never seen a player so talented and gifted that I 100% believe that there is no way he doesn't become a superstar. You have some players who are hit or miss, but with Wemby, there's just no way he doesn't average like 30, 10, and 5 while being the best defender in the NBA in like the next 3 or 4 years. He's just that damn good. When it comes to his teammates, the casual fans can trash them all they want, but they're very solid pieces who are the future of this franchise, especially Jeremy Sohan. He may not be a great point guard, but other than that, he's a terrific versatile defender and will be a vital piece for the defense as this team starts competing in playoffs down the road. Devin Vassell as well. However, it is clear that this team is still many pieces away from starting a dynasty. And before we start talking about the draft prospects that could make that happen in this year's draft, it wouldn't be right to do so without mentioning the Spurs' greatest dynasty, led by one of the best trios of all time. The groundwork for the Spurs' Big Three was laid in the late 1990s. In the 1997 NBA draft, the Spurs selected Tim Duncan with the first overall pick, setting in motion the transformation of the franchise. Duncan, a fundamentally sound power forward with unmatched basketball IQ, quickly asserted himself as the cornerstone around which the Spurs would build their future. In 2001, the Spurs front office made a big move by drafting Manu Ginobili, an Argentinian shooting guard whose unorthodox playing style and fearless approach to the game would soon become synonymous with the Spurs' success. A year later, in the 2001 NBA draft, the Spurs struck gold again, selecting French point guard Tony Parker with the 28th overall pick. Little did anyone know that these three players would go on to form a bond that would redefine the Spurs and shape the course of NBA history. As Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili took the court together, the basketball world witnessed the seamless chemistry that would become the key of the Spurs' Big Three and would be admired by all basketball fans. Greg Popovich, the mastermind behind the Spurs' sustained success, orchestrated a system that maximized the strengths of each player. Tim Duncan, often hailed as the greatest power forward in NBA history, embodied the Spurs' commitment to excellence. His cold demeanor and fundamental focus made him the foundation of the team. Duncan's leadership, defensive ability, and versatile offensive game created an environment for stability for the Spurs. Tony Parker, with his lightning-quick speed and the ability to slip through defenses without any problem, became the Spurs' quarterback on the court. As the point guard, Parker orchestrated the Spurs' offense with precision. His ability to penetrate, finish at the rim, and distribute the ball made him a nightmare for opposing defenses. Manu Ginobili, the crafty left-handed shooting guard, brought an element of unpredictability to the Spurs' offense. Known for his Eurostep, flashiness, and clutch performances, Ginobili's unselfish play and rugged yet perfect play style made him a fan favorite and a linchpin in the Spurs' success. The Spurs' Big Three ushered in an era of sustained excellence that included multiple NBA championships. In 2003, they captured their second NBA title, and the trio's impact on the court was undeniable. Duncan's Finals MVP performance, complemented by Parker's emerging stardom, and Ginobili's clutch plays put them in a league of their own. In 2005 and 2007, the Spurs once again stood atop the NBA mountain, securing consecutive championships. The Big Three's ability to elevate their games in crucial moments, their unselfish play, and their commitment to team success set them apart in an era that saw superstars dominating headlines. As the years progressed, the Spurs' Big Three adapted to changing dynamics. Duncan's role evolved from dominant scorer to defensive anchor. Parker embraced the role of the team's primary playmaker, and Ginobili continued to dazzle with his scoring and playmaking off the bench. Their ability to adjust and complement each other's games showcased a basketball intelligence rarely seen in a trio of such caliber. The Spurs' Big Three not only redefined the narrative around small market teams, but also emphasized the importance of continuity, selflessness, and adaptability in achieving sustained success. As the trio's careers gradually wound down, the Spurs dynasty remained written in stone forever. The impact of Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili transcended statistics and accolades. It was the culture that made the Spurs the Spurs. Everything was handled the right way. No scandals or anything that made the organization look bad. In 2016, Tim Duncan, the stoic foundation of the Big Three, decided to hang up his sneakers, marking the end of an era. In 2018, Manu Ginobili followed suit, leaving behind a legacy of flair, passion, and clutch moments. Tony Parker, too, eventually moved on to other teams, and recently ended his career, capping an era that many fans, specifically Spurs fans, would love to see again. And well, they may have just gotten that opportunity, because there are three prospects I want to talk about that I think would be great fits with this roster alongside Victor and Coach Pop. The Spurs are projected to have the second or third pick, and with that third pick, I think their first option should be Alex Sarr if he drops. Or who knows, maybe the Spurs end up getting the first pick. However it happens, Alex Sarr is an incredible 7-foot big man out of, you guessed it, France. Something has to be in the water out there. He's an athletic freak. He's fast, powerful, and moves much smaller than what his height should allow. The fit besides Victor doesn't seem like the best, but Victor is a stretch four at heart. He will never be a big-time post scorer who stays down there over 90% of the game. He's constantly hanging out at the three-point line, and even if he is down in the paint, he's not deep down there. He loves the mid-range area where he can just rise up over anyone. Alex Sarr could play the 5 and focus on protecting the rim. It could work shockingly similar to Brook Lopez and Giannis. Sarr could be under the rim, and Victor would be their help side to swat away any shots in his vicinity. This two-man defense would make the Spurs' defense much, much better than they are now. They would have the paint on lock. Not to mention that Sarr has the mobility to move on the perimeter as well. Offensively, Sarr isn't a big-time scorer, but he doesn't need to be. He's a lob threat, and like most European players, he has a great feel for the game, making him a good passer and decision-maker. But the most likely selection for the Spurs would have to be Matas Buzelis, the 6'10" wing who's been great for a bad G League Ignite squad. He reminds me of a Franz Wagner type of player. He can do literally everything on the court, and comparing him to Franz isn't a knock. For those who don't watch the Magic, he's averaging over 20 points per game, just to let you know. Matas is a good passer, ball handler, off-ball scorer, and most importantly, a good defensive player who's excellent off the ball and at grabbing defensive rebounds. He can more than hold his own on the ball as well, making him the perfect all-around guy to have in San Antonio. The third guy I would love to see with Victor is Rob Dillingham out of Kentucky. This kid is an absolute bucket. Just watch one game from him and you'll see what I'm talking about. The way he's able to easily get by elite college defenders in like 3 or 4 dribbles is unreal. The change of direction and overall ball handling skills is off the charts. He's still going to need to improve as a passer and defender, but someone with his scoring upside is something I wouldn't take lightly. I could see him becoming like a Tyler Hero type of player, if not better. And a couple of honorable mentions who I'd love to see next to Wemby is Cody Williams out of Colorado. He's a 6'9" point forward who plays good defense. In fact, he could be the steal of the entire draft. Another player is Reed Shepherd, someone else who I think could be the steal, or at least one of the biggest steals in the draft. He's a phenomenal player whose draft stock has risen higher and higher since he started his freshman campaign at Kentucky. His ability to get buckets effortlessly is one thing, but he's also one of the best defenders in all of college basketball. His on-ball defense and active hands are some of the best you'll see at the college level. But what do you think? What player do you think would best fit with the Spurs and turn them into a dynasty yet again? Let me know in the comments down below, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.